Any other questions before we begin?
Yes, I have an opening statement that I would like to deliver before we begin. Mr. Chairman, ranking member, members of the committee, as a former United States Senator, I have respect for legislative oversight, and I expect its exercise, as do the American people, to be principled and fearless in pursuit of truth and accountability. As we all know, however, too often congressional investigations are partisan political theater, which is an abdication of duty and an insult to the American people. This committee justified its subpoena to me based on its assumption that I have information regarding the investigations into the criminal activities of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Let me be as clear as I can. I do not. As I stated in my sworn declaration on January 13th, I had no idea about their criminal activities. I do not recall ever encountering Mr. Epstein. I never flew on his plane or visited his island, homes, or offices. I have nothing to add to that. Like every decent person, I've been horrified by what we have learned about their crimes. It's unfathomable that Mr. Epstein initially got a slap on the wrist in 2008, which allowed him to continue his predatory practices for another decade. Mr. Chairman, your investigation is supposed to be assessing the federal government's handling of the investigations and prosecutions of Epstein and his crimes. You subpoenaed 8 law enforcement officials, all of whom ran the Department of Justice or directed the FBI when Epstein's crimes were investigated and prosecuted. Of those 8, only 1 appeared before the committee. 5 of the 6 former attorneys general were allowed to submit brief statements stating they had no information to provide. You have held 0 public hearings, refused to allow the media to attend them, including today, despite espousing the need for transparency on dozens of occasions. You have made little effort to call the people who show up most prominently in the Epstein files. And when you did, not a single Republican member showed up for Les Wexner's deposition. This institutional failure is designed to protect one political party and one public official, rather than to seek truth and justice for the victims and survivors, as well as inform the public who want to get to the bottom of this matter. My heart breaks for the survivors, and I am furious on their behalf. I have spent my life advocating for women and girls. I have worked hard to stop the terrible abuses so many women and girls face here and around the world, including human trafficking, forced labor, domestic violence, and sexual slavery. For too long, these have been largely invisible crimes or not treated as crimes at all. But the survivors are real and they are entitled to justice. In Southeast Asia, I met girls as young as 12 years old who had been forced into prostitution and raped repeatedly. Some were dying of AIDS. In Eastern Europe, I met mothers who told me how they lost their daughters to trafficking and did not know where to turn. In settings around the world, I met survivors trying to rebuild their lives and help rescue others with little support from people in power who too often turned a blind eye and a cold shoulder. If you are new to this issue, let me tell you, Jeffrey Epstein was a heinous individual, but he's far from alone. This is not a one-off tabloid sensation or political scandal. It is a global scourge with an unimaginable human toll. My work combating sex trafficking goes back to my days as First Lady. I worked to pass the first federal legislation against trafficking and was proud that my husband signed the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, which increased support for survivors and gave prosecutors better tools for going after traffickers. As Secretary of State, I appointed a former federal prosecutor, Lucy DeBaca, to ramp up our global anti-trafficking efforts. I oversaw nearly 170 anti-trafficking programs in 70 nations and directly pressed foreign leaders to crack down on trafficking networks in their countries. Every year, we published a global report to shine a light on abuses. The findings of those reports triggered sanctions on countries failing to make progress, so they became a powerful diplomatic tool to drive concrete action. I insisted that the United States be included in the report for the first time ever in 2011, because we must hold ourselves not just to the same standard as the rest of the world, but to an even higher one. Sex trafficking and modern slavery should have no place in America. None. Infuriatingly, the Trump administration gutted the Trafficking in Persons Office at the State Department, cutting more than 70% of the career civil and foreign service experts who worked so hard to prevent trafficking crimes. The annual trafficking report required by law was delayed for months. The message from the Trump administration to the American people and the world could not be clearer. Combating human trafficking is no longer an American priority under the Trump White House. That's a tragedy, it's a scandal, and it deserves vigorous investigation and oversight. A committee endeavoring to stopping human trafficking would seek to understand what specific steps are needed to fix a legal system that allowed Epstein to get away with his crimes. A committee run by elected officials with a commitment to transparency would ensure the full release of all the files. It would ensure that the lawful redactions of those files protected the victims and survivors, not powerful men and political allies. It would get to the bottom of reports that DOJ withheld FBI interviews in which a survivor accuses President Trump of crimes. It would subpoena anyone who asked on which night there would be the wildest party on Epstein's island. It would demand testimony from prosecutors from Florida, New York, and the Department of Justice about why they gave Epstein a sweetheart deal and chose not to pursue others who may have been implicated in his crimes. And it would demand that Secretary Rubio and Attorney General Bondi testify about why this administration is abandoning survivors and playing into the hands of traffickers. It would seek out advocates and law enforcement officials on the front lines of the fight against human trafficking and ask them what support they need. And it would put forth legislation to provide more resources and force this administration to act. But that's not happening. Instead, you have compelled me to testify, fully aware that I have no knowledge that would assist your investigation in order to distract from President Trump's actions and to cover them up despite legitimate calls for answers. If this committee is serious about learning the truth about Epstein's trafficking crimes, it would not rely on press gaggles to get answers from our current president on his involvement. It would ask him directly under oath about the tens of thousands of times he shows up in the Epstein files. If the majority was serious, it would not waste time on fishing expeditions. There is too much to be done. What is being held back? Who is being protected? And why the cover-up? So my challenge to you, Mr. Chairman, and members of this committee is the same challenge I put to myself throughout my long service to this nation. How to be worthy of the trust of the American people that they have given to you. They expect statesmanship, not gamesmanship, leading, not grandstanding. And they expect you to use your power to get to the truth and to do more to help survivors of Epstein's crimes, as well as the millions more who are victims of sex trafficking in this country and around the world. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I would also like to request that the video of this deposition be made available within 24 hours, as it has been for other witnesses.
What? Stand with immigrants. Right. You stand with immigrants.
Step on immigrants.
You want to know who we we are. We are families who've lost loved ones to illegal alien crime.
We are families
There's no
who have
such thing as a legal
families
immigrant.
detained in an inhumane system, oppressing them, violating their basic human rights.
Thank you for that positive response. You please go ahead and give your opening statement.
Christy Nolan, you should be ashamed of yourself. I'm a former female.
Okay. Well.
Agency. female employees should be responding to disasters, not icing. You should be ashamed of yourself. Yours not say abolish ICE. Yours not say abolish ICE. Yours not say abolish ICE.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the ranking member, Senator.
Secretary, I read your book last week. And honestly, some of the parts of it impressed me, but some of it distresses me. And I'll give you a good example of one that does. The passage where you talk about killing a dog that was 14 months old. I train dogs, all right? And you are a farmer. You should know better. You should know that if you're going out to a hunting lodge and you're putting pheasants out and you're putting dogs out, you don't take a puppy out there. A 14-month-old dog is basically a teenager in dog years. You decided to kill that dog because you had not invested the appropriate time in training, and then you have the audacity to go into a book and say it's a leadership lesson about tough choices. It's in your book. We could play it if we had time. At that same lunch hour, you killed a goat. And you killed the goat because you said it was behaving badly. You are a farmer. You don't castrate a goat. They behave badly. You should have probably done that before. But my point is, those are bad decisions made in the heat of the moment, not unlike what happened up in Minneapolis. We're an exceptional nation. And one of the reasons we're exceptional is we expect exceptional leadership. And you've demonstrated anything but that in the time that I've seen you responding to the emergency in North Carolina and across the Southeast, and acknowledging when mistakes are made and speaking too soon for the expedient of social media or whatever it is. I'll leave you with this, Ms. Nome. I'm expecting answers to Charlotte's Web. I requested it a month ago. That was one of the investigations in Charlotte, 20 minutes from where I live. All I asked for, if it had to be anonymized, was information so that I could determine if your hit rate is right. I want to find more of those people, and I want to detain fewer of the others.
Said this morning, Megan, he said that we didn't start this war. But I hate to argue with the Secretary of the Department of War. America and Israel definitely started this war, and you can't lie that away to the American people. And so, you know how I feel right now? I am irate. I am furious about this. We are nearly $40 trillion in debt. How much is this war going to cost us? We have seen enough of our American troops dead and murdered for foreign countries. And now we've had 4 dead and murdered, just like you said, for Israel and for the Iranian people, not for the American people. And I don't want to see any more dead and murdered. Our military is filled with some of the greatest people from our country, and God bless their families who are probably losing their minds right now, terrified that their son or daughter or their husband or wife or brother or sister may come home in a flag draped coffin. And then we have the president who, by the way, Megan, this really needs to be said. Donald Trump has said repeatedly on camera and in interviews, he doesn't think he's going to heaven. Well, I want to ask a question, a serious question. What is in his mind? What is his mental state? If he doesn't think he's going to heaven and he is a man towards the end, he's in the 4th quarter, he's towards the end of his life. How does that pan out for the rest of us when we have a president of the United States who doesn't think and is convinced he's not going to heaven? What does that mean his decision making is? He already said to the New York Post today that he doesn't care about the polling. He doesn't care about what the American people think, and he may put troops on the ground. He took this is going to be a few-day war, to now it's going to be maybe 4 weeks or more. I want to say, what is happening to the man that I supported, you supported, the man that denounced what happened in Iraq, the man that said no more foreign wars, no more regime change, promise it on the campaign. JD Vance promised it. Tulsi Gabbard promised it. All of them promised it. And we're a year in, and we're in another fucking war, and we've got American troops being killed. I think it's time for America to rip the Band-Aid off, and we need to have a serious conversation about what the fuck is happening to this country and who in the hell are these decisions being made for, and who is making
the generational turning point America has waited for since 1979, and since the rudderless wars of hubris, my generation, our generation, endured. Don't listen to the noise. Just stay focused. Our commander-in-chief is steady at the wheel.
Jesus fucking cringe fest. So Pete Hegseth just posted that on his socials as a message to the military, and you need to listen to the words he said, because this is really fucking bad. Listen to me. I'm a veteran of Iraq and Afghanistan. I'm telling you that this is really bad. But before I get into the words that he said, I want you to know something. The music in that video, I didn't add it. That was in the original video that he posted. To him, this is just some speech given by the ruggedly handsome Department of Defense Secretary at the climax of this Hollywood movie, because to these motherfuckers, this is not real life. I'm not trying to be funny. He does this really cringy speech. If you listen to the whole speech, he didn't say any fucking thing. It's all cliche rhetoric bullshit.
You think clearly under fire, you act decisively in chaos, you uphold the Constitution, and you uphold our country without hesitation.
But what he did say that matters, let's take a look at that, because this is bad.
We are not defenders anymore. We are warriors, trained to kill the enemy and break their will. History is watching. Be the force you swore an oath to be: focused, disciplined, lethal, and unbreakable.
Few things. He said we're not defenders anymore. We are warriors. Listen, warriors is a word we use in the Army. He was an Army guy. That's why he keeps using it. But we were taught that we're warriors with a warrior ethos, but we still defended the country and defended the Constitution. So to say we're not defenders anymore is very exact language for them to acknowledge that they're just aggressors. They are aggressing, and now you're a warrior, and your oath is to kill people. And I want to remind everybody in the military that your oath is to defend the Constitution. Even though the Secretary of Defense is telling you that your oath is no longer to defend the Constitution because you're not a defender, you are, and that is your oath. But the most alarming thing that this bootlicking neo-Nazi fascist said was this right here.
We will finish this on America First conditions of President Trump's choosing. Nobody else's, as it should be.
He said that this war, by the way, Congress hasn't declared war, only Trump. He said that this war ends on Trump's conditions and nobody else, as it should be. Nope, that's not how it works in a constitutional republic where we have a duly elected Congress that has the checks and balances.
Well, when Trump and Netanyahu attacked Iran without a plan, you knew it wasn't going to turn out well. It's worse. This is Old Texas Paul. Hope your coffee is as good as mine. Hell, I hope it's better. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. That's their military. Their supreme commander was a guy by the name of General Pekpour. He was pretty much what you think of when you think of a general. He came from their ground forces. He was kind of a traditional general. Well, they killed him. They killed him. What has come next is not what you want. Is not what you want. The new head of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, the commander-in-chief of the Iranian military, is a guy by the name of General Ahmed Vahidi. Vahidi's background is the Quds forces. He's got an intelligence background and a terrorism background. The Quds forces, if you took the CIA and all their dirty tricks and their support for shady organizations, and you wrap that up in our JSAC, our Joint Special Operations Command, our Special Forces, that's what the Quds forces are. That's where this guy comes from. a terrorist with skills. He's actually wanted on an Interpol warrant for a bombing he committed in, if I remember correctly, Argentina, if I remember correctly. This is the new head of the IRGC. This did not get better. It got much, much worse. He is the guy that trains, funds, and coordinates groups like Hamas, groups like Hezbollah. Every terrorist organization you've ever heard of where they keep saying, oh, they're backed by Iran. This is the fucking guy. And he's now in charge. And the dumbass MAGA among us are going to run into the comments and say stupid shit like, oh, he'll be dead next week. No. Because they just tried to kill him. No, he's got skills. This is going to go on for a very long time, and it's going to be ugly. You're going to see a sharp rise in terrorism because of this. They did not think this through.
Hey, MAGA! Fuel prices are going up, motherfuckers! Donnie did that. You can't blame Joe Biden this time. You dumb motherfuckers. When are you going to wake up and realize you're getting fucked too?
I want you to know that I hate you. I mean that. I hate you. And that's not just me speaking out of fear or sadness as the spouse of an active duty service member, although I am profoundly sad and incredibly terrified right now. But I still mean it when I say that if you voted for this, I hate you. And if you know me in real life, I hate you twice as much as the strangers that voted for this. And you are delusional if you think that you get to look me in my eyes and tell me that you care about me while actively cheering on the man who made it very clear from the very beginning that he would happily send my husband, my soulmate, to die in a foreign country. They struck a school building. More than 50 little girls are dead this morning because of the man you installed. It's monstrous. I don't have to have monsters in my life. I want you to know how deep my hatred for you runs right now if you voted for this.
Excuse me, can I interrupt?
I have
there
another.
are photos that are being released of the secretary as she is testifying from inside this room. Can you please advise me as to whether or not that's permissible and consistent with the rules, particularly given that we have asked for a public hearing? If there are photos that are being released of the secretary as she is testifying, can you please explain how that
I'm
can
done
occur?
with this. If you guys are doing that, I am done. You can hold me in contempt from now until the cows come home. This is just typical behavior.
We will go off the record.
Oh, for heaven's
So I would like
sake.
to understand how that's permissible.
Before the hearing was,
It doesn't
Excuse
matter.
me.
We all are abiding by the same rules.
I will take that down.
Yeah,
So
well.
I would like to take a break at this moment.
Yeah,
and I'd like to have
I'm
a
done
conversation.
for now.
Go off the record. Go off the record.
It's time for the Trucker John Livestream. Gonna be a good time. Oh yeah. The Trucker John Livestream. Come along for a good time. It's a good time, good time, good time, good time. Trucker John Livestream. It's gonna be a good time. Gonna be the time of your life. Gonna talk some shit. Hush your mouth. Gonna talk a little smack. Gonna talk whatever comes of it. You're gonna always wanna come back. Well, yeah, it's the Trucker John Livestream. He's the biggest, baddest, funniest mother you've ever seen. Watch your mouth, he's headed south. Not even sure what that means, but if it's one thing I know, the Trucker John Livestream is the best thing you've ever seen.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Well, we're still 2 minutes before afternoon here in the Pacific time zone. It's 11:58 a.m. here in the Pacific time zone. We're sitting at 72 degrees. Our high is going to be 76, I think it said. So a little bit lower than the last few days. We've been hitting in the 80s the last few days. Overnight low 55. Beautiful weather, beautiful spring-like conditions here in the third day of March in the year of our Lord 2026. Thanks everybody for being here. Thanks for putting up with all these different times and time switches and being late and all that kind of stuff. I did get a late start on editing. That was a big edit there for that intro. And I'm still trying to decide. I kind of like coming on at 9 a.m. better, actually. But I just find it's too hard to get up in the morning. So if I have a late schedule. So anyhow, it is what it is. Here we are. Thank you guys for being here. I know Boston Brian's on right now, so a lot of people over there watching Boston. I've got him on my TV right now. So, what can I tell you? But thanks for being here. I do appreciate you for coming on in. And I do see Sandy Foltz was first, and Paul Burrows and Squirrel Girl. Thank you all for being here. Aaron West is here, says, I'm not first. No, Aaron, you're not first, but you're just first in our hearts. DPD is here. Hello, DPD. Good to see you. John Glad. Always glad to see John Glad. Jolie's here. Says Jolie's just checking in. I'm at the vet with my cat. We'll try to be back later, depending on how long we're here. Well, you're probably at the vet. You might not be listening right now or whatever, but I hope your cat will be okay. Best wishes to your cat. Luck Dragon, Hal's still going. Hal wasn't on this morning, Luck Dragon. It's Tuesdays. He's not on Tuesday mornings. Anyhow, been forever. That's been that way forever. Been that way since the beginning of his doing his shows for like 10 years now. Liberal Dan checked in. I don't know if Liberal Dan is still here or not, but thanks for coming on in. Liberal Dan, quite literally the best show on the internet, Liberal Dan Radio. Mondays, Wednesdays, and now Thursdays, 8 p.m. Central Time? Or is it 6 p.m. here? And it's funny, Liberal Dan says, wait, how does she pronounce heinous? That's weird. And it wasn't until Liberal Dan posted that, I did not know what the hell she was saying. I've watched that clip 3 or 4 times now, in finding it and putting it in there and in editing and all that kind of shit. And every time that word would come up, I was like, what the fuck? I could not figure out. I guess I didn't hear the context clearly or whatever. But I was like, what is that? What, highness? A highness? Is that? I think that's how she said it. So just, it threw me. So thank you, Liberal Dan, because now I know what she was saying. Here, let me, I don't know. I'm afraid to mess with this, but I'm going to do it anyhow. Penny to creates here. Hey, Penny, good to see you. Hillary, a FLOTUS with class, an important senator, a strong Secretary of State, and a person MAGA hates. MAGA. And as I was watching this clip, I was just going, man, she would have been a great president. And then I started thinking about, of course, we know she ran in 2016. She became the nominee. But even going back to 2008, what if she had got the nomination instead of a Barack Obama? How might things have changed? Even then, not that Barack Obama. I'm not saying that I actually think Barack Obama was a very good president. I voted for Obama in the primary, by the way, over Hillary. Just to be clear about it. I liked Obama better, but in hindsight, maybe it would have been better if Hillary had won in 2008. And would Trump have still ran in 2016 if we'd had? I mean, what's the difference? Well, maybe the difference would have been. Here's the difference. I just came up with it. I just thought of it. It just popped in my head. What would the difference have been if Hillary had been president starting in 2008 through to 2016 and whatever, 2017 technically. Okay, it's 2009 technically, but anyhow, to 2017. Here's the difference, and this may have made all the difference in the world. Maybe Barack Obama wouldn't have made that joke at the was it the press corps luncheon about Trump, where he made fun of Trump, I think, for wanting to run for president or something like that. Or I forget the exact joke, but he made fun of Trump and very, very clearly embarrassed him. Like Hal says, I guess you can't embarrass him, but you can shame him or something like that. I don't know. I think he embarrassed them that day. I think maybe Barack Obama is one of the few people that could actually embarrass that motherfucker. And a lot of people say that that's the moment that Trump decided to run, just to spite Obama. And he's hated Obama maybe even before then, but especially since then. Maybe that would have been the difference if Hillary had won in 2008 and 2012, and then for the 2016 election, who knows? Barack Obama might not even have ran. Barack Obama might not have been even considered running in 2016. I hope that he would have, because I think he was a great. I like to say great. I think he was a great president, because I can remember listening to him during his presidency and listening to his speeches as I was driving my truck cross country, literally bringing me to tears just in the words that he spoke. So anyhow, but if Hillary had won in 2008 and had two great successful terms, we might not even have Trump to kick around right now. Who knows? I mean, and it's really stupid to dwell on that too much. The woulda, coulda, shouldas. But here we are. Here we are, stuck with this fucking this incontinent, old, diaper-wearing neck rash, dead hand, necrolepsy. Is that what it is? Whatever it is. Like his skin is falling off of him. President who thinks that he can lead us to war, and apparently he can, because the Congress hasn't done anything. I mean, he just basically acts with impunity. Nothing will be done. He violates the Constitution daily, and especially with this war, he's violated it. The Republicans, who are the majority holders, right, in Congress, will do nothing. We can scream and yell at our Democrats that are in Congress and yell at them for not doing anything. They are in the minority. So whatever they do wouldn't really do anything. But yeah, I mean, at least, optics are important. So at least make a fucking effort, at least yell and scream or something. I don't know. Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer are the most. Now I understand that cooler heads prevail. We don't we don't need hysteria. We don't need people getting hysterical. But when you see Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer approach a microphone in front of the camera, you wouldn't think that that anything was wrong at all with our country and what's going on and how we're going down the fucking tubes. It's just another Tuesday for them. There is no there is no urgency, no sense of urgency in their fucking voice. Maybe is that too much to ask for? I don't want you running around with your hair on fire. We don't need that. But maybe a little sense of urgency would be nice. I'm just saying. Maybe a little sense of urgency. Like I said, optics is important. I was always going to say optics is everything. I don't know if that's everything. But optics are very important. Maybe you have the minority. You are in the minority. And if you issue papers of impeachment or whatever they call it, and it's not going to, it's not going to go anywhere because the Republicans will never vote for it or whatever. At least, I don't know. I don't think there's any harm in doing it. At least get that out in the news. Maybe some people will see that there is a difference between Democrats and Republicans. Because now all you hear is that both sides are the same. Both sides do it. Both sides are just as bad. A little sense of urgency would be nice. I don't want you running around with your hair on fire, but a little sense of urgency would be nice. Danny Pomeroy's here. Danny says, Margie sits down. Here comes MAGA Mike Johnson. Turned over Republicans' oversight powers to Donald Trump in 2023. He put his family in charge of the RNC, and Mike and Donald killed the border bill. Yeah. And MGT was a member of Congress at that time, during those times, by the way. And she was licking his taint just like everybody else was at that time. Mr. Spock is here. Hey, Mr. Spock, good to see you. Live long and prosper. Josh Sees is here. Always good to see Josh Sees in the old driver's lounge. Mrs. Spock, I think it just coincides with 2012 interval. Well, this in case you haven't noticed, this is now 2026. So we passed 2012. Josh Sees optics like Schumer's eyeglasses collection. No, Josh. That's not what I'm talking about. DPD5840 says, I don't know if anyone was paying attention, but the Democrats, some, were mighty pleased when the orange pedophile mentioned Iran. They gave him a rip-roaring standing ovation. Are you talking about at the SOTU? Talking about at the State of the Union? Because I guess the only thing I can think of when he mentioned Iran and people were cheering. I did not notice that, and I do not recall the Democrats being mighty pleased about anything that he said, so I don't know what you're talking about. Sandy Fold says it's been so quiet with the tenant upstairs gone. Enjoy it while you can, because the next people will be just as noisy, probably, unfortunately. Mr. Spock, the end of the world, the end of worlds doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes it takes years or decades. Well, alrighty then. Okay, so I did have a meme. I was going to put this in the intro during the Hillary opening statement, and I just ran out of time because there was a specific place where she mentioned the sweetheart deal. I believe Hillary brought up the sweetheart deal that Epstein got, and I was going to put this. I was going to overlay this little meme during that time, but all that stuff takes time to drop, and I know it sounds like it doesn't, but I got to find the thing. I got to find the exact spot to drop it in, and so I was running out of time. But anyhow, that's what I was going to do. There's old Pam Bondi. She got a nice little way back when she was a Florida AG, running for AG maybe, and she got a really nice, I think, $50,000 campaign contribution from Donald Trump. I believe it was from Trump, right? If I'm remembering right. And then the next thing you know, she kind of looks the other way with on the Epstein deal. Talk about coincidence, and I think not, as Mr. Spock would say. There you go, right there. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine. Do, do, do. End of the world as we know it. Thank you very much. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, thank you very much. City Volts, I can breathe clean air. I can breathe clean air. Oh, about the guy upstairs. Sandy says, I did not have to use any breathing machine since the guy that lived upstairs had smoked cigarettes and weed. I no longer have to smell it. I was just wondering the other day, or yesterday, I forget, in my lease agreement, it would probably say, of whether or not you can smoke within your own apartment units. I guess I don't really think about it because I don't smoke. I don't vape. I don't smoke pot. I don't smoke cigarettes. So I don't even think about it. I didn't think about it. But I guess the reason I thought about it yesterday, because I walked over to 7-Eleven yesterday, and when I came back, and when I came back into the apartment complex here, I did smell the strong smell of weed. I'm like, whoa, someone's got some bud. I'm just, whatever. And then as I was walking to my apartment, I was like thinking, do they let you smoke inside your units? I mean, I guess, and I'm thinking like, you should be able to. I mean, I guess, because it's even though you're renting, you don't own it, you're renting, but still that is your abode. That is your home. But I was wondering, is it? But I forget if it was allowed or not allowed. Because I was thinking like someone's smoking some weed and it smells, and they could. I was wondering if they can get in trouble for that, but I don't know. But anyhow, that was way out in the front, and over here where I'm at, I like it's not an issue. I don't smell it, but it just made me think about like what's allowed, what's not allowed. And I've never really thought about it because I don't do that stuff. And I'm glad I don't. If you guys want to know the truth, I'm glad I don't. I'm glad I don't smoke cigarettes, and I'm glad I don't smoke weed all the time. That's not to say maybe I might not smoke a joint every now and then. The last one I smoked was on this show about, 2 years ago? That's the last time I think I've had any pot, right? I don't think I've had anything since then. And, but, who knows? every now and then, I don't think there's a problem with it. I'm just not a wake and bake type of person. I'm not where every 20 minutes I gotta fucking smoke a joint or smoke a pipe or a bong hit or any of that shit. And I'm glad I'm glad I don't have to do that. Anyhow, DPD says, TJ, this is the exact moment for the Democrats to be running around. No, you're missing the point. No, we don't need to run around with your hair on fire, but we don't need hysterics. But we do need a sense of urgency. Why do you want people running around with their hair on fire? Anyhow, with their hair on fire, when we military brass when we maybe have military brass telling soldiers that telling this it's God's plan and they will be rewarded in the kingdom. Who says that? Did Hexa say that? That you'll be awarded in the kingdom? I didn't hear that. What I'm saying is, I would be happy with just some sense of urgency compared to what we're getting. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. We're getting nothing. So just some sense of urgency would be better than nothing. Would be better than what we've got. David Willer says 25,000, not even 50,000. I said 50. Dave says it's only 25. She's a cheap date. DPD says, yes, TJ, Hakeem and Truck were very happy when the orange pedophile made those statements. Was that at the State of the Union? I'm trying to figure out where you're talking about. PD28 says, Pammy Joe, a.k.a. Scam Bondi, a.k.a. Madam Pompous Door. Sandy Phillips says your apartment building a lot. Yeah, of course. You have to pay a deposit. I mean, I think it's like a $300 deposit. And then maybe they tack every month something extra on. It's really ridiculous. Mr. Spock, hey TJ, thanks. It's another 420 alert. Yeah, it is. Well, I have 1220 right now, so it's 320. I think where you're at, but I'm just not a pothead. I never have been. I used to party down with the best of them back in high school and college, and I would smoke weed, but I was never a pothead. You know, I was just a partier. I think there's a difference between a partier and a pothead. DPD says, does anyone remember when Orange Pedophile called out soldiers, suckers, and losers? Of course we do. I wonder what spectrum they will be classified as when blood is shed. Well, remember, he doesn't like when people get wounded or captured. Trump is very particular. He likes his soldiers to be shiny and clean. He doesn't like them to be wounded. He doesn't like them to be missing limbs. Doesn't like them to get captured by the enemy. He just wants nice, shiny, clean soldiers. Luck Dragon says, people who smoke weed at 420 disagree with you as much as you disagree with us. But can't we just get along? DPD says, yes, it was at the SOTU. Okay, so at the SOTU, I did not see any Democrats standing up and cheering when Trump said something about Iran. I didn't see it. But to be quite honest, I don't even remember what he said about Iran. Love Dragon said, the first time I heard it's 5 o'clock somewhere is very next day. I wrote it's 4:20. Bitches? Is it bitches? Are we now censoring out the word bitch? Bitches? I guess maybe, I don't know. Biatches? We can say biatch. Squirrel soldiers from Central Casting. Luck Dragon says, guys, I'm very sad to say, but I think Trucker John has blocked me or something. He doesn't like me anymore. What the fuck, dude? I've read every single one of your posts. What the fuck are you talking about? Now come in here and start crying. Go hit a bong. Go take a bong hit, dude. Josh C's got my Joshes done. Got my dishes done. Okay, look, I'm gonna look it up. What did let's see. I'm gonna look up what did Trump say about Iran at the SOTU, or no, okay. I'll say did Democrats cheer Trump when he spoke about Iran at the State of the Union? I always put a question mark. I know you don't have to, but I always do anyhow. So first thing comes up from military.com, says Trump's SOTU address offered mixed messages on Iran. New York Times says Democrats denounce Trump's Iran attack. Now this is about the attack, but subtle division emerged. This is from Fox News. Trump's 2026 SOTU reactions pour in following unforgettable speech. I don't know. Let's see. So let's see the one from military.com. This says Trump's SOTU address offers mixed messages on Iran. Democrats push back. This is according to military.com, published on February 25th, the day after the SOTU. Says President, there's the opening paragraph. President, and this is by Darius Radzius from military.com. President Donald Trump delivered his State of the Union address on Tuesday before a joint session of Congress at the U.S. Capitol, touting a successful operation against Venezuela. President Nicolas Maduro, with mixed messages on the unfolding situation in Iran. So mixed messaging, on the unfolding situation in Iran. Now remember, this is before the invasion, before the attack, before we started a war there. Trump, in his record-long 1 hour and 48-minute speech, and I remember watching this with you guys, and you were saying that the record was 3 hours. I can't trust you guys on anything, can I? Anyhow, 1 hour and 48-minute speech discussed the January operation that resulted in Maduro's capture, saying that elite American warriors carried out the most complex, spectacular feats of military competence and power in world history, and, quote, ended the reign of outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro, end quote. The speech's Venezuela segment also paired the Maduro claim with a broader Western Hemisphere security framing that emphasized cartel pressure and fentanyl enforcement. Now, here's on Iran. Trump devoted a significant portion of the address to Iran, declaring that U.S. forces had obliterated the country's nuclear weapons program in the mission dubbed Operation Midnight Hammer. Okay, so remember, this came up when just the other day, when we, along with Israel, started bombing Iran, that this quote came back up again about how Trump declared that we had already obliterated their nuclear weapon program, nuclear weapons program. So why the reason to go to war again? Or So anyhow, is that the point? Was that where they cheered? Maybe that's where they cheered. In a breakthrough operation last June, United States military obliterated Iran's nuclear weapons program, he said, and the he, of course, being Trump. Okay, so is that where Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries cheered, or maybe other Democrats cheered at that? Talking about the last operation from last June. So it says Pentagon officials previously described Operation Midnight Hammer as a strike mission that used decoys and deception and targeted 3 Iranian nuclear sites, by also stressing United States did not seek war. Remember, this is just February 24th, and now here was it March 1st or whatever? We basically went to war. Trump did not present a battle damage assessment, satellite imagery, or updated intelligence findings during the speech to detail the extent of the destruction or Iran's current enrichment capacity. Yeah, because he was talking out of his ass. Iran has long maintained its nuclear program is for civilian energy purposes, though U.S. intelligence assessments have warned that Tehran's uranium enrichment levels significantly shorten the breakout timeline for a potential weapon. The United States withdrew from the 2015 nuclear agreement during Trump's first term, and subsequent efforts to restore limits on Iran's program have stalled. And if he had just left that in place, we would not be where we are now. But I think the only reason he killed that deal is because it was done under Obama. It could have been the best deal in the world, working great, which it was. I think working. I didn't hear any problems under that program. They were allowing inspectors to come in. Everything seemed to be on the up and up. But of course, Trump killed it because that was Obama's deal, and I guess he wants his own deal. And like I said at the very start of the show, he hates Obama because Obama made that joke about him. Any confirmed large-scale strike on nuclear infrastructure carries strategic risk, including a potential retaliation through regional proxy groups, maritime disruption in the Persian Gulf, which they have announced, I believe, that the Strait of Hormuz has been closed. That's why the gas prices were going up, one of the reasons. Or direct missile exchange, back to the story, or direct missile exchanges involving Israel. Trump framed the operation as deterrence enforcement, signaling that U.S. red lines would be backed by force. The remarks position Iran as a central pillar of Trump's second-term national security posture, combining diplomatic rhetoric with a willingness to use military action. And we're seeing that come into play now, right? So, North Atlantic Treaty Organization spending target raised. So now this goes into NATO. NATO stuff, I guess, was at the SOTU. Is this still SOTU? anyhow, yeah, he still hammers on NATO not spending enough on their defense bullshit. Cartels, designated terrorist organization. So there was talk about that. I guess it's just going to stuff that he talked about on this. So to National Guard deployment, fallen soldier honor. So then, yeah, then it's the things where they were doing the medals of honor, bigger defense budget, warrior dividend, more horseshit there, right? We already spend a fucking $1 trillion a year on the military. I don't think we need to spend any more. And that warrior dividend, I think, it's taking away money that was needed to improve housing conditions, and now instead it's going to be given to them in a check or something where they're going to get taxed more or something like that. That's what I heard. And yeah, I'm just sort of skimming through. This is the article. It's a good article, I think. A good rundown on the SOTU. Okay, now here's going back to this article published at military.com by Darius Radzuki. It says Democrats push back. Democratic leaders sharply disputed Trump's portrayal of American strength and stability, arguing that rising global tension and domestic uncertainty undercut his claims. Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger, a Democrat, delivered an official Democratic response late in the night after Trump's record-long address, questioning whether the president was working to keep Americans safe both at home and abroad. We all know the answer is no, she said. Spanberger, not Spamberger, warned that adversaries, including Russia, China, and Iran, remain active threats, and suggested that long-term security depends on steady alliance management, predictable diplomacy, and congressional oversight rather than unilateral action. And what does Trump do? Going off the story, me editorializing, what does Trump do? He ignores Congress completely, and he unilaterally decides to bomb Iran. And Democrats were not on board for that. Okay, now here we go. Back to the story from military.com by Darius Radzuki. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, Democrat, New York, said the administration's record could be summed up in 3 words: costs, chaos, corruption. Never in our lifetime have we gone into a state of the union where the president's rhetoric and the country's reality are so far apart, Schumer said. Schumer argued that sweeping defense proposals require congressional scrutiny and warned against what he described as abrupt escalations that could draw the United States into broader conflict. He pointed to ongoing war in Ukraine, tension in the Middle East, and strategic competition with China as evidence that global risks remain high. Democrats have signaled they will challenge both the size and the structure of the proposed $1 trillion defense budget, particularly if increases come without offsets or clarity on how funds would be allocated across modernization, personnel, and overseas commitments. There was a comma in there between modernization and personnel. I think that's the end of the story. And it was by Darius Radzuki. And he's a white guy. This just shows how racist I am. I was picturing him being a black guy. Darius. Maybe it's because of the Hootie and the Blowfish. I don't know. Isn't that racist of me? Am I racist? Guys, let me know in the comments if I'm a racist. Because why I heard Darius Radzius. Now Radzius, I don't know, that could be anything. I just thought I was thinking he was a black guy. He's a white guy. He's got a picture of him right here. It says Darius Radzius brings more than 2 decades of experience in broadcast and digital journalism. He currently anchors and reports for 1010 WINS and 92.3 FM in New York City, where his on-scene coverage of breaking news and public safety has earned multiple awards from New York State Broadcast Association and Press Club of Long Island. Well, congratulations, Darius Rucker. I always call him Darius Rucker. I mean, anyhow, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being a racist. I thought he was. I was just picturing a black guy. You guys, you hate me now. I know you hate me. Okay, so I don't know. I'm not seeing anything about Democrats standing up and cheering and applauding. At least not Schumer. I don't think, and not Spanberger. I don't know if Jeffries was. I don't know, and I don't know. I could look through more articles. I don't know if I'm going to find it or not, but I'll just take your word for it, DPD. I guess I'll just take your word for it. I'm trying to get back to my screen. You know how you start to watch videos on YouTube, and then you'll get a whole bunch of those type of videos. I've been watching a lot of these car videos, like guys finding old cars and repairing them. So now I have a whole bunch of those in my feed. Anyhow, let's see what happened in the chat while I was doing that. Let's see if you guys think I'm a racist or not in the chat. Is Joel here? I see Big Hook. Big Hook says, "How you turtle toes?" Oh yeah, Jolie was at the vet, so I don't know if she's back or not. But Big Hook is here. Hey, Big Hook, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in. I do appreciate you hanging out with us for a bit. DPD says, and yes, top military brass, the sycophantic military brass are conveying this message. This is fake Christian holy war, anything that has to do with Israel and the Middle East. Mr. Bob Newell is here. Hey, Mr. Bob Newell, good to see you. Look, Dragon says, the truth is I only really smoke weed before I go to bed because otherwise I have really crazy dreams, sometimes nightmares, sometimes just weird dreams. Mr. Bob Newell, I can't hear you. Josh sees, I bet his longest campaign speech was over 3 hours, though. Big Hook says, did TJ get his taxi license back? I never did lose it. I just had to renew it. Big Hook. I was renewing it, but I never did lose it. Just to be clear. Just to be clear, I never did lose it. Mr. Bob Newell, how's the chair? You still happy with it? I'm sitting in it right now, and I'm very happy with it. Josh Shees, anyone watch the Senate hearing with Noam today? I have not watched it today. I did put some clips in it that I guess were from yesterday, or maybe it was early. Maybe those were because I'm on West Coast. Those are East Coast. The clips I put in might have been from this morning. I don't know. Luck Dragon says, fun fact: it was actually Seth Meyers who told the death blow joke that caused Donald Trump to run in 2015. Well, do you want me to get the clip of Obama? Obama did I think it's Obama that really did it. Mad Mac is here. Slava Ukraini. Slava Ukraini to you, Mad Mac. Big Hook says I think we're talking about Trump, he is ignoring Congress, Senate, Judiciary, and the U.S. people in general and operating as a dictator with no checks on his power. Your costs are going to skyrocket soon under the madman. Good luck. Yeah, unfortunately, I think, the worst is certainly yet to come. You know. DPD 5844, ask yourself, why would Hakeem and Chuck work behind the scenes to prevent allowing us to know who voted for and against the war? Does anyone really believe Schumer is not, I guess, supportive considering AIPAC? MJ Daniel says nothing will save Nancy Blondie, and the rest of this corrupt administration from long prison sentences. From your lips to God's ears, MJ Daniel. I hope they all go to prison, every last one of them. Luck Dragon says, I believe that the Epstein distraction is a distraction from the real distraction that bombing Iran will somehow lead to Russia winning Ukraine. Really? How would bombing Iran lead to Russia winning Ukraine? I don't see the connection there. If anything, it would hurt Russia because Iran was providing weapons, I think, to Russia. Now maybe they can't do that. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. MJ Daniel says, a few years ago I saw a show where a father and son found one of the Mustangs from the movie Bullet in a shed. Now that would be nice. Yeah. I've been watching these I forget the name of it, but it's these two guys. It's called Driveway Finds. Although sometimes I think I've just watched in the last couple of days about 8 of their videos, and some they find them not necessarily in the driveway. Some are in garages. Some are just parked out in a field. Whatever. And it's one guy. His name is Brito. You want to remember that? And he's I guess like an auto shop teacher at a high school or something. I don't know. And then the other guy was one of his former students, and he's older now. He's like in his mid to late 20s or whatever. So then they do this, and they're really good. I've really been enjoying watching them find these really great old classic cars, and I mean that just look like there's nothing left of them, and they bring them back to life. It's a really good show. DPD says, TJ, I do not trust Schumer or Jeffries. They are beholden to AIPAC. I am appealing to you to go back and watch Jeffries on the Joy Reid show from February 13th, 2026. Listen to his response to question mark? Or to questions, maybe his response to questions, I guess. I don't have my pen and pad near handy to make that note. February 13th, Joy Reid show. Okay, I'll try to remember that. I'm not saying that I trust them either, and I'm not all in on AIPAC. I'm not. I wish they wouldn't take that money. Unfortunately, we're in a system still, since we haven't taken the money out of politics, since we haven't made elections like publicly funded. to get rid, and we do have things like Citizens United, which bring in all that dark money. Unfortunately, we're going to have people on our side, on the dim side, that are going to take the money. And not because they're greedy or corrupt necessarily, but because that's how they feel they need to compete against their Republican counterparts. That's just a sad reality of the way things are going to be until we can get the numbers we need to do something like overturning Citizens United, to get campaign finance reform, actually good campaign finance reform, enacted into law. But until then, so I know it's kind of like a catch-22. It's kind of a circular thing. But, and I'm not trying to defend Jeffries or Schumer. I've been critical, especially of Schumer, over the years. But I'm also not willing to just completely disavow everything that they say or do or don't do. Big Hook says, Wahajet Ali, when he asked if he should not take money from AIPAC, and Jeffries said he would take money from whomever he wanted. Mad Max says, warehouse guys here like the show Gas Monkey. I think I saw that a long time ago. I really like this one with the two guys, the shop teacher and his former student, called Driveway Finds. You guys should check out. I think it's something like Driveway Finds or something like that. So far, no one has called me a racist, so I'm good. I'm glad about that. In the chat, no one in the chat has said yes, you are a racist for thinking that author based on his name was a black guy. MJ Daniel says, remember that the U.S. had to start this to keep us safe from the nuclear weapons that DJT just claimed to destroy, like nobody else ever. And also, a point I would like to make is, and I kind of just made it a few minutes ago, this is a problem of his own making, basically, by destroying the joint whatever U.S.-Iran agreement, nuclear agreement, by tearing that up and which I don't think how can you do that? But I don't know. I didn't know you could just tear up agreements, but by doing that, he's created the problem now. He's just trying to clean up a problem that he created, and then try to take credit for being like some great president for stopping this when he's the one that really created it in the first place. Talk about circular. Wow. Big Hook says, yeah, Jeffries and Schumer seem not very well suited to deal with Trump as of lately. This strongly worded letter stuff is not confidence-inducing for Democrat voters. Interesting. Watching crimes happen before them. I thought it was Susan Collins who did the strongly worded letters. Well, you know what? To my American brothers and sisters who vote, maybe you should have voted instead of sitting home and crying. And then maybe we wouldn't be in this position. You didn't vote. So we lost the presidency and we lost our majorities. So cry all you want, but if you're not going to vote, not going to show up and vote, then this is what you get. Book Dragon says you should always read a book twice if you want to memorize it. I don't want to read the Bible 3 times, but Matthew 16 just keeps coming to my head over and over again. I don't remember. I have not memorized the Bible, so I don't know what Matthew 16 is. Not sure if I care, actually. Mad Max says the orange pedo was so excited about his golden drapes. He must be a drapist, an alleged rapist. Thank you, Jimmy Kimmel. So that was a Jimmy Kimmel joke. Big Hook says, I think we are looking at a replay of that verse, only now it's first they came for the immigrants, and then they came for the blacks, and then they came for me because nobody stood up and did anything. MJ Daniel says the Biden administration is terrible on Gaza and Palestine. I am not voting. Remember that? Pepperidge Farms does. However, I do think the Biden administration could have done a better job. At least, I'm not sure what Biden could have done differently in the actual actions that Biden could have done. But again, messaging and optics are so important. And it was almost like they wanted to just not talk about the subject and hope it would go away. And that was kind of Kamala's tact in her campaign, and that was probably a fatal flaw. But still, 9 to 15 million people didn't vote that voted in 2020. So, but maybe that was why. Maybe that was one of the reasons why. I don't know. Sandy Foltz, in a few years, I'm going to stop voting. That's a very peculiar statement, Sandy. And why not? Why wait? Why not just start now? Stop not voting. I don't know. I mean, what's going to happen in a few years? DBD says one way the Iran war benefits Russia is because there will be a spike in oil and gas prices. Oh, okay. The orange pedophile is playing both lovers, Putin and Benny. Is playing both lovers. Okay, he's playing them. I wonder who will be supreme. Diana Ross. No. So he's playing them both. He's bombing Iran because that's been Netanyahu's wet dream for 40 years, apparently. And as oil prices spike, supposedly that will increase income for Russia because they can sell their gas or oil, whatever, at a higher price. And that will benefit Russia. In theory. We'll see. Look, Dragon says, AIPAC? I didn't even know her. No. AIPAC, why would you ever trust an organization that gives to both sides just to get their objectives, in which happened less than a week ago in Iran? Please don't use World War II as an excuse. I don't know who you're addressing that to, so I don't know. Bad Mac, I want proof that they didn't vote. Proof comes from the orange felon. We know it isn't true. Show us proof that not enough people voted. Simple number of votes counted between the difference between 2020 and 2024. It's very simple. But he says one way President Biden could have helped us to turn off the overabundance of money that was being poured into Israel. But Congress under a normal president, I guess maybe under Trump it's different, but under most presidents, it's Congress that controls the purse strings. So he could have. I do think he could have utilized the bully pulpit a little bit more. And done that, and got Congress to do that. I think the one thing that he was able to do wasn't it he got the U.S. to stop sending, was it 2,000-pound bombs or something like that, or whatever it was? He did do something like that. I think he did whatever he could do from the executive branch. But the Congress still, at least under Biden, Congress had a lot of power. I guess we're just used to this new norm where Congress doesn't have shit. Can't do shit, apparently. They've completely capitulated to Trump. Sandy Folds, I want to wait when Trump is out of office. To vote or to not vote. Big Hook says billions of dollars being spent on warehouses incapable of housing people in a detention center instead of for SNAP benefits, housing assistance, healthcare subsidies. What is the line in the sand? Well, the American people are not happy. You can see his popularity poll numbers are just continuing to circle the drain. So, other than, storming the castle like a bunch of Jan 6ers, about all we can do is show up and vote in November. And hopefully get a Congress in there, a democratically led Congress in there, that will stop Trump. That really is the only thing we can do, short of storming the castle. And by that I mean, I guess, complete revolution. It'll be the American Revolution Part 2. Look, Dragon says $5 already in the Bay Area. And the Bay Area is one of the areas that always goes up first, and seems like they're always one of the highest areas for gas for some reason. Even though right there in Richmond, they've got all kinds of refineries and shit, but I don't know. I guess that oil doesn't go there. I don't know. I don't know how it works. Big Hook says Rachel Maddow certainly made the case for how bad things are with all these idiots running the country appointed by Trump and the Republicans. The question is, will you survive them? Some of us won't, unfortunately. Some of us aren't going to survive it. That's the sad fucking truth of the matter. We're not all going to survive this. Donald Trump's a fucking murderer as far as I'm concerned. And he has the blood of millions of people on his hands, already. So, yeah. Look, Dragon says 52 is a very stupid year. That's insignificant unless you're a Les Paul fan. Otherwise, there was not much to celebrate other than the fact it was the first day of the end of the world. Are you talking about, was that when you were born? Was that because we're talking about your birthday? What a weird thing to say about your birthday. Big Hook, if Iran successfully commits a terrorist act on U.S. soil, then he can cancel the terms. I don't think so. How can you? I mean, I guess I shouldn't put anything past Trump, but I mean, we've gone through Civil War, we've gone through 2 world wars, we've gone through 9/11, and we've never had elections canceled. But again, this is Trump we're talking about, so I guess I shouldn't poo-poo it so easily. DPD 5844 says the orange pedophile cut off sending weapons to Taiwan because President Xi Jinping, I don't know their names, ordered him to stop, and the pedo did as he was told, just so him and Jinping can gather for a circle jerk meeting. So you're saying that Biden could have cut off weapons to Israel? Josh says Big Hook he can't, but he'll try. I know I'm very hesitant to say that he can't because we've seen him do all kinds of shit that he shouldn't be able to do. Talking about Trump. Look, Dragon, I will always remember that the first day of the end of the world started on my 52nd birthday. Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about. Look, Dragon says exactly, Trucker John. That has been my question my whole life. How come we have all these refineries in Richmond and our gas prices are way higher? I guess that gas doesn't go to you guys. It's like, no, it's too close. It would make too much sense. We're going to ship this to fucking England or something. I don't know. Sandy Foltz, I just got a grocery delivery from Aldi's Instacart. Nice. Look, Dragon says, I don't know if it's bad or good, but I honestly feel that if me and Rachel Maddow ever met in real life, we would connect like soulmates. I believe Rachel Maddow is originally from the Bay Area, by the way. DPD says, did anyone catch what the Orange Pedo said about Iran interfering in the 2024 election? He wants to invoke the Presidential Emergency Foreign Act, which gives him control over who counts the votes and how they are counted. I think I did hear something about that. And again, I guess ignore the nonsense that comes out of his mouth at your own peril, because I part of me is like, oh, you can't do that. But then here we are, and with him doing all kinds of shit that he shouldn't be doing, tearing down the fucking half of the fucking White House he shouldn't have been able to do, but he did it. I mean, just as an example, he just does shit. And then he knows it can't be undone. You can't undo. I mean, you can build back the White House, the East Wing, but like you can't undo the bombings in Iran. Big Hook says Rachel Maddow is one of the best out there with a historical take on what's worked before and how when we forget the lessons of the past, we are doomed to repeat them. Mad Max says petrol is up to $4.79 in Seattle. I didn't know they sold petrol in Seattle. I thought it was gas. I didn't know Seattle was so English. Big Hook, Rachel Maddow is Canadian. No shit. Well, I think she's spent a good deal of time in the Bay Area then, in her youth. Sunnyfold, CJ, did you ever get on Snap? No, I didn't. I had appointments. I just didn't go. They want me to show proof of this and proof of that and proof of this. I just don't feel like it. Look, Dragon says, just for a historical reference, this is the exact same way that the World War I started. There were a lot of different factions warring against each other at the same time. Yeah, that's why it was the World War. Anyhow, we are in interesting times. We are living in interesting times. All I can say is, yeah, let's just try to hang in there. I think eventually we will get these Nazis out of our government. I really do believe that we will. It's going to be an all or nothing thing. I mean, either we'll get them out, and if we don't, then the United States will cease to exist. As we are about ready to celebrate its 250th year this July of the Declaration of Independence, 250-year celebration. This might also be the year that we find out if we will make it to 251 as a free, democratic, republic, constitutional country. Will we make it to 251? I think we'll still be here. The country will still be here, but will it still be the United States of America? Will it still be held together by the Constitution? Will the Constitution still have any say in how we run this country? Will this turn from a republic to a just straight out dictatorship? And I know already in this chat, and we've talked about before, that Trump is a dictator. He's running and acting like a dictator. Like I just said, he just does what he wants to do. That's kind of like a dictator, right? So will we make it to 251 as the United States of America, a constitutional democratic republic? Or will we be we would still be labeled as the United States, but in name only. Will we be the United States of America in name only? This November will determine that. DPD 5844 says we can't put anything past this motherfucker. His back is against the wall. He is a rat trapped and cornered. We are living in a plutocracy, and they will do whatever they can to keep power. Yeah, we cannot put anything. I'm not sure how. Did I read it or did I self-edit it? But yeah, we cannot put anything past this motherfucker. Big Hook says, yeah, as Gavin Newsom pointed out in one of the emails between Epstein and Bannon, that Trump is like a trapped rat and will chew through steel to escape accountability. He is extremely dangerous. I'm not even going to read that latest one by Luck Dragon. It's really below the dignity of this channel. So I'm not going to read Luck Dragon's post there. Anyone who's watching this, if you want to know what Luck Dragon said, you're going to have to look at it yourself. DPD says the question should be not will be. Wait, the question should be will. DPD, maybe you need to slow down when you're typing. I don't know. The question should be not will we make it. Maybe that was it. Not will we make it, but what happens next? We are a country that has buried all of the sins from the past to present. We no longer have the option. We've buried all the sins from the past. Really? Are you talking about Epstein? They tried to bury that. They're trying to bury that. But, DPD, I'm typing too fucking fast. Okay, sorry. Well, I mean, I'm just assuming that's why it's almost unreadable, and I have to try to figure it out. Maybe you would type better if you weren't typing so fast. Maybe, I don't know. Josh says, "Red like a fortune cookie." Really, I was just trying to figure out what was trying to actually be said there. Anyhow, so yeah, that's that little meme. I do have another one. There's going to be some more No Kings. March 28th, no thrones, no crowns, no kings. So something to plan for. March 28th. Let's make that a big one. Let's make that a big turnout. I mean, what are the things that we can do as just normal, just average, everyday citizens? What can we do, especially between now and November? I mean, we can call our representatives, let them know how we feel about what kind of job they're doing, or how good or bad they're doing, and let them know how we feel about Trump and how he's overstepping his authority and acting like a dictator, and how he's not, and how he's continually not following the Constitution. We could do that. I think that's good. Your House reps, your senators, hell, even your governors, let them know. Even your state reps, let them know too. Why not? What could it hurt? Just anybody that's get the message out. We're not happy with the way Trump is running roughshod over our Constitution. So that's one thing we can do. We can write, or we can call or write, send postcards, call your representatives, and we can do things like No Kings protests and marches. So it's going to be a march on March 28th. And let's try to break the record, whatever the record was. The millions and millions of people. Let's make it even more. So those are the things. So like I said, you can call or write. You can do these marches, and we can vote. Make sure you're registered to vote. I know we talked about how Trump and the Republicans are trying to enact all kinds of voter suppression techniques. Let's try to overcome that. as best we can. Make sure you're registered. Make sure you can vote. If you're in a place where early voting is allowed, vote as early as you can. If you're able to mail in your vote, mail it in. If you want to go in person, don't let them intimidate you with ICE officers there or whatever. Go with in a buddy system. Make sure you vote. Big Hook says, how many more trillions of dollars of debt will this Iran war cost taxpayers? All those bombs need to be replaced to ensure full readiness and secure the U.S. Lesson not learned from Afghanistan. Well, that's what MTG was saying in the intro there. See, MTG dropping some F bombs on the Megyn Kelly show. And she said it. She goes, we're already $40 fucking trillion in debt. How much more is this war going to cost us? So even MTG is pissed off about that. DPD says, I mean, we need to atone for slavery, the treatment of women, the treatment of poor and most vulnerable. We have gone 250 years without any form of accountability. Freedom should belong to all of us. Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. And I believe if we vote out Republicans, we would have a much better chance of attaining any of that. So let's stop voting for Republicans. Look, Dragon says, read Night by Eli Wiesel. That book changed my life. MJ Daniel says, my reps are all Democrats, but I have been letting people know my feelings over in very Republican Walla Walla. Walla Walla, Washington. I think you should still contact your Democratic representatives. What do we talk about in this chat? About how, we're tired of just strongly worded letters and shit. Maybe contacting your Democrats might light a little fire under their ass. You know what I mean? Josh C. says, worse yet, the administration is trying to whitewash it even more. But Dragon, I also recommend Stand By Me and Never Ending Story, of course. DPD says, agreed. Agreed. Yeah, let's stop voting for Republicans. Democrats aren't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But they are a hell of a lot better than Republicans. And if we want to see any type of gains in equality and civil rights, LGBTQ plus, equality, all that kind of stuff, we just got to pretty much make Republicans like a footnote in history at this point. Big Hook says fiscally conservative is an oxymoron. Republicans always claim to be fiscally responsible, but last 50 years say otherwise. It's frustrating how many times you keep punching yourselves reelecting GOP. Yeah, we have a lot of stupid people in this country, a lot of stupid voters, a lot of propagandized people, a lot of people that have been manipulated and lied to by a constant propaganda machine of right-wing media. I think that is a big part of it. You know, I mean, what else would explain it? And on the other side of the coin, probably Democrats that and Democratic Party, the Democratic, at the national party not being so great at countering that propaganda and being good at messaging. Look, Dragon says, I really hope Texas Paul had a difference in Texas this year. Or do you mean made a difference? I don't know. And there are a lot of people voting blue. If not Jasmine Crockett, we are going to find out by the end of tonight. Is the primary tonight in Texas? It's a primary. So, and I believe they have closed primaries, so I would believe that the Democrats are going to be. I don't know if it's a primary tonight because I don't know what you're talking about, but for sure. But for that Senate seat, in the primary, I guess it's either going to be Jasmine Crockett or James Tellerico to win the primary, not the general. Mad Matt, Republican lawmakers are pathetic cowards. DPD says, or better yet, show up at their offices, allow them to see you. That's what I do. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that should be added to the list of things we can do. Going to these marches, calling or writing your representatives, use a postcard, not a letter. They won't even see the letter. Use a postcard. Or showing up at their offices. They usually have office hours that are posted. If they have a town hall, go to the town hall. Maybe if they're not having town halls, you should contact them and tell them to have a town hall. Meet with your constituents. Yeah, that's a good one. DPD. Big Hook says Fox News is another oxymoron. Yep. Look, Dragon says there's a lot of one-party systems to party systems, three-party systems, but no one ever thinks about the zero-party system where the people control. Well, who was it that said, was it Washington, George Washington or Ben Franklin, or one of those people that said that they wish that there shouldn't be any parties, there should be no parties or something like that. And I think theoretically that would be nice. But whenever I think of that, then I always think that there's always going to be factions that break off. So even if you don't really have like a party system, there's still going to be groups and factions. And then they're going to start calling themselves something. You know what I mean? I just think parties are always going to be there, but maybe less official. Maybe would be nice. I don't know. DPD says, "Go Jazzy Jazzy." Big Hook says, "Yep, but Fox News never told them that, Josh. That these, because Josh says, Big Hook, didn't they have a lawsuit where they said it's entertainment, not news? Yeah, they said that in court. Yeah, that was their defense in court. Apparently, I don't know, did it work or not work? I forget, but yeah." Primary, yes. It's Tuesday, right? Yeah, it's Tuesday, but not every Tuesday is voting day. I didn't keep up with Texas and their primary days. Is today the day? Well, I hope people turn out to vote, and we'll see who comes out on top for the primary. MJ Daniel says National Democrats messaging sucks. They have 40 plus years of examples of why they are better for the average American than Republicans, starting with FDR, which is longer than 40 years ago, and still can't get it right. Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, just showing how the stark differences between Republican administrations and Democratic administrations in terms of uh, unemployment and wages and GDP and all that kind of shit. It's a stark difference, and it's better under Democrats than it is under Republicans. Josh C says the multi-party systems end up with party coalitions that equate to two parties. Yeah, pretty much. That's what I'm thinking, because people have always said we should get rid of parties. There should be no parties, but there's always going to be parties, even if it's unofficial. This is the way it is. There's going to be groups that form. Look, Dragon says it's actually a primary day in Texas, North Carolina, and another state. I'm sorry, I will Google it right now. Well, okay, so it's primary day in Texas and North Carolina and some other states. So I hope everyone turns out to vote. Big Hook until you get dark money completely out of politics. The rich will write the legislation that allows them to avoid paying their fair share, all while bankrupting the middle class and destroying America. And earlier in the program, we talked about dark money and how it's kind of this circular argument, or not circular argument, but it's like this kind of catch-22. Like, we're going to get money out of politics until we get strong Democratic numbers, like majorities, and probably in big enough numbers to override vetoes, big enough numbers, to overturn law like Citizens United, all that kind of stuff. But we're not going to get the numbers we need as long as there's all of this dark money. So it's like this catch-22. I mean, it can't be impossible. I mean, it's not impossible, but it's really, really difficult to try to change the system while having to use the system, or while the system is being used, and you want to overhaul that system or change that system, but there's a strong opposing force to it that is utilizing that system. So it's not so easy, but it can be done. We just need to get the numbers that we need. To override vetoes or to override filibusters and all that kind of stuff. To have like these filibuster-proof numbers, and so it's a difficult battle, and it's been going on. We've been trying to get campaign finance reform for as long as I can remember, and it just hasn't happened. Big Hook says hopefully Ojeda wins in North Carolina. Yeah, okay, so that's the North Carolina primary going on today. According to Ojeda, he thinks he's pretty well going to win the primary. Again, this is primary. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, we'll see if he does win that primary and then just go full steam ahead into the general. DBD says, I have this fear that come November 4th, 2026, the Democrats will say, we'll get them in 2028 or 2029. We will have a strategic plan, not comprehending that it's over. This is my fear. I think the only way the Democrats lose in November is if Trump is able to cancel the elections or severely hamper voting. But if we have free and fair elections, the Democrats, I think, will absolutely destroy the Republicans. Josh says, I like Jetta, but he flies off the rails occasionally. Yeah, he does get a little excited there. Look, Dragon says March 26th, no King's Day. Well, my thing says March 28th. So I don't know what I'm talking about. Mad Mac, Ojeda for Congress. Mad Max says, I think the official day is March 20th. According to my little meme that I found here, it says March 28th. So hopefully that's right. Now you got me wondering. Now you got me wondering. I'm wondering. I'm a wondering. I'm a wondering. I'm a wondering. Whew. I'm starting to lose energy, guys. I don't know what it is. Old age. I feel my energy going down. I might have to end the show, but it's been a couple hours, so. Big Hook says Supreme Court allowed Citizens United, and it's been steadily more corrupt from that point on. The robber barons have won. Unfortunately, again, FDR taxation needs to return to get the middle class back. Yeah, well, as long as we have Republicans in there, it's not going to happen. Sandy Foltz says the primary is in September, the voting is in November. That for where you live, Sandy. Yeah, it's not that way for everybody. The primaries are all spread out throughout the year here in different areas. Like I think that for here, I think ours is in June or something. Josh says 21st Centuries is on. Yeah, I see Boston Brian is still on. How long has he been on now? I don't know. He's been on for a long time. So maybe yeah, they're starting up. If you guys, I just gave 21st Century a thumbs up. Maybe we'll go ahead and maybe we should raid them. DPD says, I like that about Ojeda. I know when, the first thing I thought of when Josh said that that he flies off the rails, the first thing I thought was DPD would like that. And DPD says, I like that about Ojeda. He certainly doesn't bite his tongue, that's for sure. And TJ, you need to start drinking mushroom coffee to regain some of your stamina. Now, we've talked about that before, probably. Like where you buy it? Do I have to go to some special Do I have to go to a special school? Do I have to go to some special preparation? Mushroom coffee, is that in all the stores? Is that all the rage? Is it easy to find? I guess you can find it. I guess you can order just about anything online these days, but we can't. Don't order it from Amazon because we hate Jeff Bezos, so I can't do that. Anyhow, Big Hook, see you next Tuesday. Suffragettes are on. They are. Let me put the link in the chat. Okay, hang in there. Don't go there. Don't go over there yet. We should go over there in unison. We should go in. We should go in there together, holding hands. We should go in there hand in hand. All right. Barbara Nicholas, what do you mean getting tired? You have a whole day of work ahead of you. There's Barbara Nicholas. That brought Barbara out so she could. What was it? Did I forget the word? It's like I always thought it was a sexual term. You could I don't know, shush me out the door or whatever. There's Barbara. Yeah, there she is. But TJ needs a Snicker bar. Yeah. Mad Mac, I still got to see the TJ intro before I go. It's a long one, Mad Mac. That's what she said. It's about 25 minutes long. So. Oh yeah, shag. Gonna shag me out the window, out the door, whatever. Elizabeth Martinez. Hola, buenas tardes. John, listening and working. Thank you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth Martinez, I appreciate you for being here. Thanks for watching. We are 0 for 5 on the goals today, but not every day can be a goal achieving day, I guess. MJ, what kind of mushroom? Yeah. Do I have to get special kind of mushrooms? The special kind? Big Hook need to taxi around and make some money. Yeah, you're right. David Weiss says, "See, listen to anger is an energy by Public Enemy Limited." Okay, all right. We got 1 minute to get 5 donos in the goal there. 52 seconds. Anyhow, all right. So here is the link to 21st Century Jets. There it is there. I put that in the link. Barbara, at least I got you laughing. Yeah, you sure did. If you guys want to go there, make sure you say Trucker John Raid or something to that effect. Just to let the ladies know that I watch them and I'm a fan and that we all are. And we all go over there and we support their show too. We support Boston Brian. We support 21st Century Suffragettes. We support Hal. We support Liberal Dan. We support Major Ojeda. We support. We support Tara Devlin. You know, all of them. We support them all. We love them. We hang out with them. So if you go over there, just say hi from Trucker John or Raid, Trucker John Raid or something like that. Okay. The goal has ended. And bye, Big Hook. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks for hanging out with us, Big Hook. I do appreciate you. I appreciate all of y'all's. Thanks for coming on in. And so again, thank you guys for being here. If you haven't subscribed, probably most of you have subscribed, but if there's anyone not subscribing, please consider doing that. That would be great if you could do that. And we'll see you on the next one. The only thing left to do is the words of wisdom, and then I'm out of here. Okay, you guys ready for the words of wisdom? All right, guys. So get pen and pad down. These are really good. Might want to save them. Okay, so for today.
Well, it's time to say goodbye. The show has come to an end. But don't be sad, no, don't you cry. We're all gonna come back and meet again. Have some fun times, hopefully nothing too bad. We might talk about war crimes, might talk about Baghdad. I doubt we'll talk about door chimes, but if we did, I'd be only too glad. So I style of Easter, baby. The show is over, but could I ask you maybe to take a shower? No, that's not what I meant, but I couldn't think of anything to rhyme with over. Now my whole rhyming scheme is all screwed up. Oh shit, I should have stuck to truck driving, who I tried to kid. At least when I was out there driving, I could handle a skid. But doing this live stream, baby, has been a real kid. So I hope to see y'all again right here on the Trucker John live stream. We're gonna do it again and again, right here in the Trucker John live stream. Yeah, the Trucker John live stream. We're gonna come back and do it all again. No, this ain't no dream. This is where we win, right here on the Trucker John live stream. No, this time to say goodbye. The show is coming in. But don't be sad, no, don't you cry. We're all gonna come back and meet again. Rolling down the highway in my rusty old rig. I'm a retired trucker, but my spirit's still big. Living in Vegas, where the lights never sleep. Broadcasting my thoughts for the world to keep. From politics to pop culture, I've got it all. Sharing my views, no matter how big or small. Talking about food, the movies and bugs, shining a light on all the social issues. No shows, I've driven through the desert, seen the city so bright. But now I'm living in a different kind of fight. From my apartment in Las Vegas, want to take a trip down Paradise Road, but it ain't that pretty, it ain't paved with gold. Everybody's got the dirty little secrets, everybody's got some things unknown. But if you ain't real careful, baby, it'll cut you down to the bone. Under all those bright lights, you've gotta learn to ignore the glitter. It's all about fight or flight, and you don't wanna do either. So go on down to Paradise Road, it'll make you wish that you were young. But all it'll do is make you feel old and regret trading in your love for lust. It's all just a big charade, it's all just one big game, and it ain't about love, it's all about the thrills. It's about staying in the hunt, it's about going in for the kill. So head on down to Paradise Road, that's where your friends are now. They're the people that nobody knows. So go ahead and make your big show. So live it up on Paradise Road, just don't let anyone know. It'll be your dirty little secret, it'll be your guilty little pleasure. Living a secret that the whole world sees, hiding in plain sight among the scum and the thieves. It's so damn hard to ever be pleased. Everyone wants to live the good life, everybody wants a piece of paradise. But where would you run? Where would you hide? What would you do to buy a little more time? Grandiose dreams of happily ever after are really just another day's end. And when the sun goes down, you just lay there wondering, can you really do it all again? You're praying for one last shot, you're hoping for one last big win. Paradise Road is calling, so you better hurry along. Paradise Road is calling, so you better hurry along.
Show's over, I'm out of here, folks. Bye.